when you're ready. Okay. So, Ramdas, can you tell us about your reaction to Wayne's letter, and then the reaction that you got, because many people called you, from your family to your friends, about the letter, and I think that's interesting.
I didn't write it. It was written through me. I think you know somebody in high places that wrote that through me. I'm not taking any of the blame. Unless there's credit, I'll take that.
Well, it left me in a... all my life, I've wanted to appear rich, okay, because my father, he had rich friends, and he wanted to look like them.
Right.
So he'd have a Packard car, you know.
Packard.
Packard.
Yeah,
and
heavy ones, right?
And I picked up that virus from him, and I didn't realize how strong that virus is into your letter.
Really?
Because your letter was portrayed me as anything but what I'd like. And here you had three, your mailing list, 3
million.
Million. Oh my God. So 3 million people were going to see me as looking a mendicant. And it's partly because I'm Jewish. I mean, you don't.
I don't fit that mold.
You don't fit that. But I wanted to be. I'm always the guy when, after a meal, I say, "I'll take the bill."
Right.
And it's an image of myself, and you just knocked it.
And you still have that image, even
I still have it, and so this your letter was got at that place to me.
Right. I'm surprised you still carried that with you after all, because you really left so much of that behind.
My father, he's I learned it from my father. All these letters from well wishers from your letter, they all had checks in them.
Right.
And I had to sign the checks.
Right.
Endorse the checks. And I remembered my father was lived a tenement, and then he got a very big business, and he signed the checks for that business
himself.
He himself. And he didn't want it blot his signature.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little tyke, and he signed the checks, and he'd give it to me, and I lay it on the ground,
Uh-huh.
on the rug, and all the signatures, and I know he felt proud that he was giving that much money.
Right.
The stroke, after I wrote the book, How Can I Help? All I can now do is, how can you help me?
Oh. And how does that feel?
I didn't know what it was like to accept gifts.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. I remember this very well when we talked about it the very first time. That and what I think about, which is something that I don't think you know, and I think you're becoming aware of it now, is how much you have done for so many millions and millions of people. And there's a line in the prayer of St. Francis. I mean, you quote St. Francis a lot in your life, and he said it is in giving that we receive. And it's almost like you have to look at that as a coin. And when you have this coin, it's like it's got heads on one side and tails on the other. And so that's giving, and then there's receiving. And you can't take the heads and put it in one drawer,
Yeah.
and tails in the other drawer. You can't do it.
Yeah.
That was the only reason I think that once we talked about that, you allowed me to, that you gave me permission to go ahead and to do this fundraising thing, because the tone of the letter.
Because I feel strange before you, because you have been giving me so much.
And I feel strange before you, because you have given me so much.
Yeah.
You taught me how to get in front of an audience and be there authentically from my heart. You taught me how not to worry about what the audience thought. You taught me about self-deprecating humor, to make fun of yourself. One of your famous lines in one of the talks was, inside of me there's this very insecure little boy who needs constant reinforcement that he's doing all right. And you say that before an audience, and everybody applauds. And you know what, Ram Dass, you've done that for so many. And this giving and receiving thing is an issue for...
Your letter, it opened the floodgates. There are letters from people, response to your letter. They said, I wanted to thank you, but here is the first chance.
Yes. Yes. You can't imagine what you have done for me by allowing me to be in this role at this time in my life. You can't imagine. We have similar backgrounds in being college professors and leaving and all of that. And I remember being admitted to the university. I spent 4 years in the service, and they put me in on a provisional acceptance because I didn't have the grades, because I never thought about going to college. No one in my family, in my neighborhood, went to college. We went into the service, or we went to the factory. I was in Detroit. We worked in the at the plants. So I got this at 22. I got admitted by this guy who just said, "I'll take a chance." And now I'm 65 years old, and I just went back to that university, Wayne State University in Detroit, and opened up a $1 million scholarship for
You're
people
doing it for
in
them
Detroit.
too.
and it's like, that is a bigger kick and a greater pleasure for me to be able to do that than it was for me to get admitted in the first place. And I think there's it's that two sides of the same coin kind of thing. It's what's been the reaction around the country? Is it?
My brother's reaction. My brother was an attorney in New York, and he said, "Who is this Wayne Dyer?"
Tell him to go to the bookstore.
He said, all my friends are calling up, wondering why I don't take care of you.
Mm-hmm. Guilt.
And oh gosh, this is it's such a rich stew of reactions to because of course I go to the mailbox and there are letters and letters and letters telling me that all I've done has been spread love.
It's so true.
Wow.
It's so true.
Wow.
Yeah. And don't you think that there's, I mean, you have a guru that I'm sure people watching know about, but maybe, I mean, we both sort of joked about this, that when he told you to serve God, to love people, love everyone, feed people, and you took it literally, that, I mean, being an infinite being, somehow he must have known. And he, the very first tape I ever heard of you was, I was in my 20s, in the 60s, and it was 3 Jewels in the Lotus in San Francisco, California, and you came out on stage, and Patricia's son, we were talking about Patricia's son was on it, she's this blonde, and you came out in a blonde wig, and there was another guy on the program who was sticking knives through his arm and not bleeding, and you came out with an arrow going through your head, and I listened to that tape, and I said, who is this? You thought, who is Wayne Dyer? Who is this guy? Who is this Ram Dass? And I was hooked. And then when I found out that basically you had taken that literally, and somehow Maharaj-ji, he must know. He must have known, and he must have known then, because I always had a knowing in my heart that you and I were going to collaborate in some way. And here we are. We're collaborating. We're making a film. We're working together, creating a foundation. It's.
Once he said to me about himself, he said, I have all the money in the world.
Wow. What did he mean by that?
Well, because he was us. And us had all the,
there was no them. There was just,
And then when you came forth with your letter, and from the nooks and crannies, checks. I had, my guru is behind this.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Even the night that we met here on Maui, I almost didn't go. It was so close that I had to go someplace else. And you had a friend, Litz, I believe, who called me up and said, I really think he's... And I didn't even know. It was just a chance to just sit down and have dinner, because I'd already met you over here and we'd talked. And when I think about all of the sort of synchronicities, and I remember saying to you at that dinner that night, I'll write a letter and we'll put it on the internet and we'll let the universe take care of it. And I got up at 4 o'clock that morning and I sat down and it wrote itself. It just wrote itself. It was on that automatic kind of writing, and I called you up and
that's him.
Yes.
That's him.
There was a force that was doing it. And I remember calling you up and reading, because it was early in the morning. It was about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I said, Ram Dass, you've got to hear this letter that just came. And I was comparing you to St. Francis. I turned you into a saint right before the... and it was some force.